Daddy, am I going to die like Mommy did? The words hit Serenity Willowbrook like a punch to the gut. His 10-year-old daughter, Clementine, sat cross-legged on their worn couch, her small fingers nervously adjusting the bright purple bandana that covered her head. The colorful fabric trembled her shaking hand, and her eyes held a weight that no child ever carried. Because everyone keeps staring at me funny when I wear this, they know, don't they? Clemmy touched the bandana with trembling fingers. They know I'm different, that I might get sick again. Serenity dropped to his knees in front of his daughter, fighting back tears that threatened to spill. How do you explain to a 10-year-old that life sometimes deals unfair hands? How do you tell your child that you lie awake every night, terrified of losing her too, just like you lost her mother 3 years ago? And if I cost too much money again, Daddy, will you have to give me to another family? The mechanic's calloused hands shook as he reached for his daughter's face. Serenity Willowbrook had been working double shifts at Morrison's auto shop for the past year, trying to pay off the medical bills from Clemmy's treatment. The cancer was gone, thank God, but the financial and emotional scars remained fresh wounds that refused to heal. Sweet pea, look at me, Serenity whispered, his voice breaking. You are not going anywhere, ever. You hear me? I don't care if I have to work 3 jobs, 4 jobs, or sell everything I own. You are my world, and nothing will ever change that. Clemmy's lower lip quivered as she threw herself into her father's arms. The purple bandana slipped slightly, revealing the fine layer of hair that had finally started growing back. She had been so proud of tiny wisps of growth, checking them in the mirror every morning like they were precious treasure. I just want to be normal again, Daddy. I want to go to school without everyone whispering about me. I want to play soccer without getting tired so fast. I want to stop being the sick girl. Serenity held her tighter, breathing in the scent of her strawberry shampoo, mixed with the faint smell of the hospital that seemed to cling to everything these days. The truth was, he wanted those things for her too, more than anything in the world. You know what, Clemmy? You are the strongest person I know. Stronger than any football player on TV. Stronger than any superhero in those comic books you love. And you know what else? That bandana doesn't make you different. It makes you special. It shows the world that you're a fighter. The next morning, Serenity watched through the kitchen window as Clemmy waited for the school bus. She had chosen a bright yellow bandana today, one that matched her favorite Kansas City Chiefs jersey. She had been obsessed with the team ever since her treatment started, finding comfort in watching Travis Kelce make impossible catches and celebrate with such pure joy. That man never gives up, Daddy, she had told him once during a particularly difficult chemotherapy session. Even when the other team is bigger and stronger, he just keeps running, just like me. The school bus pulled up with its familiar squeal of brake, and Clemmy climbed aboard with her backpack bouncing against her small frame. Through the window, Serenity could see her settling into her usual seat, adjusting her bandana one more time before putting on her brave face for another day. What he didn't know was that today would be different. Today, Azalea Goldenshade, the school counselor, would notice the way Clemmy's hands shook during math class. Today, she would see the fake smile that didn't quite reach the 10-year-old's eyes. And today, she would make a decision that would change everything. At Jefferson Elementary School, Azalea had been watching Clemmy for weeks. The girl was polite, did her homework, and never caused trouble. But there was something in her eyes that spoke of burdens too heavy for such small shoulders. During lunch, while other kids played and laughed, Clemmy sat alone, mechanically eating her sandwich while staring off into space. "Hey there, sunshine," Azalea said, sliding into the seat across from Clemmy in the cafeteria. "Mind if I join you?" Clemmy looked up, startled. "Oh, hi, Miss Goldenshade. Sure, I guess. I love your bandana today. That yellow is absolutely gorgeous on you." Azalea's voice was warm and genuine, without the overly sweet tone that adults sometimes used when they felt sorry for someone. "Thanks. My daddy says it makes me look like sunshine." Clemmy's voice was barely above a whisper. "Your daddy sounds like a smart man. Tell me, how are you feeling these days? Really feeling, not just the answer you think I want to hear." For a moment, Clemmy's carefully constructed mask slipped. Her eyes filled with tears that she quickly blinked away. "I'm fine. I'm always fine. That's what strong people do, right? They're fine." Azalea leaned forward, her heart breaking for this little girl who was trying so hard to be brave. "You know what, Clemmy? Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is admit when you're not fine. Would you like to come to my office after lunch? We can talk about whatever you want. No pressure, no judgment, just two friends having a conversation. That afternoon, sitting in Azalea's cozy office surrounded by motivational posters and a candy bowl shaped like a rainbow, Clemmy finally let her guard down. The words poured out of her like water from a broken dam. I pretend I'm not scared, but I am. I'm scared all the time. I'm scared the cancer will come back. I'm scared my daddy will run out of money and won't be able to take care of me. I'm scared that when I grow up, nobody will want to marry me because I used to be sick. Azalea listened without interrupting, her heart aching for this child who had been forced to grow up too fast. When Clemmy finished, she was crying so hard that her yellow bandana had become damp with tears. Clemmy, do you have any heroes? Anyone you look up to? Travis Kelce, Clemmy answered immediately. He's so strong and fast, and he never gives up. Even when he gets tackled really hard, he just gets back up and keeps playing. I watch him on TV and pretend I'm as brave as he is. Azalea smiled softly. You know what? I think you're braver than Travis Kelce. He might be tough on the football field, but you're tough in real life every single day. The next day, Clemmy found herself looking forward to her afternoon chat with Miss Goldenshade. For the first time in months, she had someone who listened without trying to fix everything or tell her how lucky she was to be alive. Sometimes, she just wanted someone to acknowledge that being lucky could still be really, really hard. I brought something to show you, Clemmy said, pulling a small photo from her backpack. It showed a smiling woman with long brown hair holding a baby with the same bright eyes as Clemmy. That's my mommy. She died when I was 7, before I got sick. Sometimes I wonder if she would have been better at taking care of me when I was in the hospital. Daddy tried so hard, but he cried a lot when he thought I wasn't looking. Azalea studied the photo, seeing the clear resemblance between mother and daughter. She's beautiful, just like you. What was her name? Isabella. Daddy says she would have loved my bandana collection. I have 12 different ones now. Each one makes me feel like a different person. The purple one makes me feel royal. The yellow one makes me feel happy. And the red one makes me feel brave. That's wonderful, Clemmy. It sounds like your bandanas are like armor for your heart. Exactly. Clemmy's eyes lit up for the first time in weeks. That's exactly what they are. When I wear them, I can pretend I'm not the sick girl anymore. I can be whoever I want to be. Meanwhile, across town at Morrison's auto shop, Serenity was having a conversation with his boss that would keep him awake for the next 3 nights. The medical bills were piling up faster than his paychecks could cover them, and he was facing an impossible choice. I hate to do this to you, Serenity, Mr. Morrison said, his weathered face creased with concern. But I can't keep giving you advances on your paycheck. The shop is struggling as it is, and I've got 3 other mechanics who need their hours too. Serenity nodded, his throat tight. I understand, Mr. Morrison. I really do. I don't know what else to do. The payment plan for the hospital is killing me, and Clemmy's got follow-up appointments every month. The insurance doesn't cover everything. Have you looked into those charity organizations? The ones that help families with medical expenses? I've tried. The waiting lists are months long, and most of them have income requirements that disqualify us. I make too much to qualify for assistance, but not enough to actually pay the bills. That evening, Serenity sat at his kitchen table with a calculator, a stack of bills, and a cup of coffee that had gone cold hours ago. No matter how he rearranged the numbers, they wouldn't add up to a solution. Rent was due in 2 weeks. Clemmy's next appointment was in 10 days. And his checking account balance was laughably small. He could hear Clemmy in her room, talking to her stuffed animals about the day's event. She always did that, creating elaborate stories where her toys went on adventures and overcame impossible odds. Sometimes he wondered if she was really talking to her mother, using the stuffed animals as intermediaries for conversations she couldn't have any other way. Mr. Fluffy, did you know that Travis Kelce can run really fast, even when he's carrying a football? Miss Goldenshade says I'm brave like that too. She says, being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you keep going, even when you are scared. Serenity smiled despite his worry. Azalea Goldenshade had been a godsend for Clemmy. The school counselor had a way of making his daughter feel heard and understood in ways that he, despite his best effort, sometimes couldn't manage. The next morning brought an unexpected visitor to the auto shop. Juniper Ravenwood, the owner of Ravenwood Cafe, arrived with her car making a sound like a dying whale and a story that would change everything. Serenity, I hope you don't mind me asking, but is your daughter the little girl who wears the colorful bandanas? The one who sits by herself at lunch sometimes? Serenity's defensive instincts kicked in immediately. Is she causing trouble? Because I can talk to her if she's bothering any— Oh no, nothing like that. Juniper waved her hands quickly. Quite the opposite, actually. She comes into my cafe sometimes after school, and she's always so polite and well-behaved. She orders the same thing every time, a small hot chocolate and a blueberry muffin. She sits in the corner booth and does her homework. I'm sorry if she's taking up space without spending enough money. I can tell her to go straight home after school. Serenity, you're missing the point. I'm not complaining. I'm concerned. That little girl tips me 50 cents every time she comes in, even though she's ordering the cheapest items on the menu. Yesterday, I overheard her counting coins in her backpack, trying to figure out if she had enough money for her usual order, plus a cookie for you. Serenity felt his chest tighten. He had been giving Clemmy $5 every few days for after-school snack, money he could barely afford to spare. The fact that she was trying to save some of it to buy him a cookie made his eyes burn with unshed tears. She told me that her daddy works really hard and doesn't get to eat cookies very often because cookies are expensive. She wanted to surprise you. I had no idea she was doing that. There's more, Serenity. She also told me that her biggest dream is to meet Travis Kelce from the Kansas City Chiefs. She says he's her hero because he never gives up, just like her. She's been saving up her allowance in a jar, hoping to buy tickets to a game someday. Juniper paused, studying Serenity's face. Look, I don't mean to pry, but I can tell you're struggling. We all are, in different ways. But that little girl of yours is something special. She's got more heart and strength than most adults I know. She's been through so much already. I just want to give her a normal childhood, you know? I want her to worry about homework and friends and what to wear to school, not about medical bills and whether we can afford groceries. Maybe normal is overrated, Juniper said softly. Maybe what she needs isn't normal. Maybe what she needs is to know that she's loved, that she's safe, and that she has people in her corner who believe in her. That afternoon, Azalea made a decision that would ripple through their small community like a stone thrown into still water. She had been researching ways to help Clemmy, and she had found something that might just work. Clemmy, I have an idea. What if we wrote a letter to Travis Kelce? Not asking for anything, just telling him how much his example has meant to you during your treatment. Clemmy's eyes went wide. Do you think he would actually read it? I think people like Travis Kelce get lots of mail, but I also think that letters from brave little girls like you stand out. Sometimes heroes need to hear about the people they inspire. Together they crafted a letter that was honest, heartfelt, and completely authentic. Clemmy wrote about her treatment, her fears, her dream, and how watching Travis play football had given her something to hold on to during the darkest moment. Dear Mr. Kelce, the letter began, my name is Clementine Stormwind, but everyone calls me Clemmy. I am 10 years old and I had cancer, but I'm better now. I want to tell you that you helped me be brave when I was really scared. 3 weeks after sending the letter, Clemmy had almost forgotten about it. She was more focused on the upcoming fall festival at school, where she had volunteered to help decorate the gymnasium. She had chosen her favorite red bandana for the occasion, the one that made her feel brave and confident. But bravery, as she was about to learn, sometimes isn't enough to protect you from the casual cruelty of children who don't understand what they're saying. Why do you always wear those weird head things? Asked Bradley Chen, a boy from her class who had never spoken to her before. Are you bald under there or something? Clemmy felt her cheeks burn. The other kids working on decorations had stopped what they were doing to listen, their eyes curious and slightly uncomfortable. She touched her red bandana self-consciously, feeling suddenly exposed. It's just a bandana, she said quietly. I like how they look. My mom says people only wear those when they're sick. Like, really sick. Are you contagious? Bradley took a step back, and several other children followed suit. I'm not sick anymore, Clemmy whispered, but her voice was so small that most of the kids couldn't hear her. Then why do you still wear them? And why don't you ever eat lunch with anyone? My dad says that when people avoid other people, it's usually because something's wrong with them. The words hit Clemmy like physical blows. She could feel her breathing becoming shallow and rapid, her heart racing in her chest. The gymnasium suddenly felt too small, too crowded, too loud. The bright decorations that had seemed so cheerful moments before now felt garish and overwhelming. I need to go to the bathroom, she managed to say, dropping the paper flowers she had been working on and running toward the door. She made it to the girls' bathroom just as the panic attack hit in full force. Her hands shook uncontrollably as she gripped the edge of the sink, gasping for air that didn't seem to want to stay in her lungs. In the mirror, she saw herself as she imagined others saw her. A weird little girl with a fake smile and something to hide. Azalea found her there 20 minutes later, sitting on the bathroom floor with her knees pulled up to her chest, crying so hard that her red bandana had become soaked with tears. "Oh, sweetheart," Azalea said, immediately sitting down beside her on the cold tile floor. "What happened?" Through broken sobs, Clemmy told her about Bradley's question and the way the other kids had looked at her. "They think I'm weird, Miss Goldenshade. They think there's something wrong with me, and maybe there is. Maybe I am broke." "Clemmy, look at me!" Azalea's voice firm but gentle. "You are not broken. You are not weird. You are a survivor, and that makes you extraordinary. But what if they're right? What if I'm just fooling myself thinking I'm brave? What if I'm just a scared little girl who can't even handle kids asking questions? Being scared doesn't make you weak, Clemmy. It makes you human. Even the bravest people in the world get scared sometimes. The difference is that they don't let the fear stop them from being who they are." That evening, Serenity came home from work to find his daughter sitting at the kitchen table, staring blankly at her untouched dinner. She was still wearing the red bandana, but it was wrinkled and stained from tears. "Rough day at school, sweet pea?" Clemmy looked up at him with eyes that seemed older than her 10 years. "Daddy, am I embarrassing you?" "What?" "Clemmy, no, never. Why would you ask that?" "Because maybe I should stop wearing my bandanas. Maybe I should just try to look normal so people don't ask questions. Maybe if I looked like everyone else, things would be easier for both of us." Serenity sat down across from his daughter, his heart breaking at the defeat in her voice. "Is that what you want? To look like everyone else? I don't know what I want anymore. I thought I was being brave, but maybe I was just being stubborn. Maybe I was just making things harder for everyone." "Teet, Clemmy, do you remember when you were in the hospital and you were so sick from the chemotherapy that you couldn't keep food down for 3 days?" She nodded, not sure where he was going with this. "Do you remember what you said to me when I was crying because I felt so helpless? I said that sometimes the best thing you can do is just stay with someone, even when you can't fix anything." "That's right. And do you remember what you did every single day, even when you felt terrible?" "I tried to make the nurses laugh." "You didn't just try, sweet pea. You succeeded. Every single day, you found a way to make someone else's day a little brighter. That's not something broken people. That's something extraordinary do." Clemmy was quiet for a long moment, processing his words. "But what if I can't be extraordinary anymore? What if I'm just too tired?" "Then you rest. And when you're ready, you try again. And if you're not ready tomorrow, you try the next day. And if you're not ready then, you try the day after that. There's no timeline for healing, Clemmy. There's no deadline for being brave." That night, Serenity couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about his daughter's question about being embarrassing, and it occurred to him that maybe he had been so focused on helping her be strong that he had forgotten to let her be vulnerable. Maybe she needed to know that it was okay to not be okay sometimes. He was still awake when his phone rang at 11:47 p.m. The caller ID showed a number he didn't recognize, but something made him answer it anyway. "Hello? Is this Serenity Willowbrook?" "Yes." "Who is this?" "This is Travis Kelce. I got a letter from your daughter." For a moment, Serenity was sure he was dreaming. "I'm sorry." "What?" "Your daughter Clemmy wrote me a letter. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever read. I was wondering if we could talk." The conversation that followed would change everything. Travis explained that he had been so moved by Clemmy's letter that he had shared it with his team's community outreach coordinator. They wanted to do something special for her, something that would show her that her bravery hadn't gone unnoticed. "Mr. Willowbrook, I know this might sound crazy, but would it be possible for me to visit Clemmy? I'd like to meet this incredible little girl who's been inspiring me. I don't know what to say. She would be absolutely thrilled, but I have to ask, why? I mean, you must get thousands of letters." I do get lots of letters, but Clemmie's was different. She didn't ask me for anything. She just wanted to tell me that watching me play football helped her find strength she didn't know she had. Do you know how rare that is? Most of the time, people want something from me. Your daughter just wanted to say thank you. She's been going through a rough patch lately. Some kids at school made some comments about her bandanas, and she's questioning everything about herself. Well, maybe it's time someone told her that being different isn't something to hide from. Maybe it's time someone told her that being different is something to celebrate. The next morning, Serenity woke up wondering if the phone call had been a dream. But when he checked his phone, there was a text message from a number he didn't recognize. This is Travis. Looking forward to meeting Clemmie. My team will be in touch about details. Thank you for raising such an amazing daughter. He stared at the message for a full minute before the reality hit him. Travis Kelce was actually going to visit his daughter. The Travis Kelce was going to meet Clemmie. But as the shock wore off, anxiety began to creep in. What if this was some kind of publicity stunt? What if they showed up with cameras and turned his daughter's struggles into content for social media? What if Clemmie got her hopes up and then was disappointed? His phone rang again. This time, it was Azalea Goldenshade. Serenity, I hope you don't mind me calling so early, but I had the most interesting conversation yesterday evening. Someone from the Kansas City Chiefs organization contacted me about Clemmie. Yeah, I got a call too, from Travis Kelce himself. I still can't believe it's real. It's real, and it's going to be wonderful, but I want to make sure we do this right. Clemmie's been through enough disappointment in her life. If we're going to do this, we need to make sure it's perfect. See? What did you have in mind? Well, the team's community outreach coordinator, Celestine Brightwater, suggested we organize it as a special presentation to school. That way, Clemmie won't feel singled out or embarrassed, and we can make it educational for all the kids. That sounds perfect. But Azalea, I have to ask, are you sure this is really happening? It seems too good to be true. I thought the same thing, so I did some research. Travis Kelce has a foundation called 87 and running that focuses on helping underserved youth. He's done dozens of surprise visits over the years, and every single one has been genuine and heartfelt. This isn't about publicity, Serenity. This is about one human being wanting to lift up another. Meanwhile, across town, Juniper Ravenwood was having her own conversation with someone unexpected. Celestine Brightwater had called her after learning that Clemmie was a regular at the cafe. Ms. Ravenwood, I understand that you know Clemmie Stormwind. Travis Kelce would like to make his visit as special as possible, and we were wondering if you might be willing to help us coordinate some detail. Of course, that little girl deserves every good thing that comes her way. What did you have in mind? Well, we know she loves hot chocolate and blueberry muffins. We were thinking maybe we could have a small reception after the school presentation. Nothing too big or overwhelming. Just a chance for her to spend some real time with Travis. I would be honored to cater that, and I won't charge a penny for it. Clemmie has been saving up her allowance to buy her father a cookie. Did you know that? Any little girl with that kind of heart deserves to have her dreams come true. The next few days were a whirlwind of secret planning and coordination. Azalea worked with the school administration to arrange a special assembly about heroes in our community. Celestine coordinated with Travis's schedule to find a day that would work for everyone. Juniper planned a menu of all of Clemmie's favorite food, plus some special treats would make the day memorable. But the most important conversation happened between Travis and his own team. He had shared Clemmie's letter with his teammates, and their response had been immediate and unanimous. They wanted to help. Man, this kid sounds incredible, said Patrick Mahomes after hearing the story. What can we do to make this special for her? I was thinking maybe we could set up a fund, Travis replied. Her dad is struggling with medical bills, and I know that kind of stress affects the whole family. Maybe we could help take some of that pressure off. Count me in, said Chris Jones. Kids who fight cancer are tougher than any offensive line I've ever faced. Same here, added Harrison Butker. My foundation has connections with pediatric cancer organizations. We could probably set up something long-term to help with her ongoing care. Travis felt a warmth in his chest that had nothing to do with football. This was what he loved most about his team. They were always ready to step up for people who needed it most. The day before the surprise, Clemmie came home from school quieter than she had been working with Azalea on managing her anxiety and overall she seemed to be doing better. But Serenity could tell that something was weighing on her mind. "Penny, for your thoughts, sweet Daddy, do you think I'll ever be normal?" "What do you mean by normal?" "I mean, will I ever be able to do things without worrying about whether people are staring at me? Will I ever be able to just exist without thinking about cancer or bandanas or being different?" Serenity sat down beside her on the couch, choosing his words carefully. "Clemmy, I think normal is overrated. I think interesting is better. I think brave is. I think kind is better. But sometimes I just want to blend in. Sometimes I just want to be invisible. I understand that feeling, but you know what? I'm glad you don't blend in. I'm glad you stand out. The world needs people like you, people who have faced hard things and come out stronger on the other side. Even if I'm scared sometimes, especially because you're scared sometimes. Courage isn't the absence of fear, Clemmy. Courage is feeling the fear and doing what's right anyway." That evening, Clemmy spent extra time choosing her bandana for the next day. She finally settled on a bright blue one that matched her favorite Chiefs jersey. She had no idea that in less than 24 hours, she would be face to face with the man who had inspired her to keep fighting. "Tomorrow's going to be a good day," she told her stuffed animal as she got ready for bed. "I can feel it." She had no idea how right she was. The next morning, Clemmy woke up with an inexplicable sense of anticipation. She couldn't put her finger on what was different about the day, but something in the air felt charged with possibility. She chose her bright blue bandana and her favorite Chiefs jersey, not knowing that in a few hours she would be wearing the perfect outfit for the surprise of her lifetime. At Jefferson Elementary, Azalea was trying to contain her excitement as she made final preparations for the Heroes in Our Community assembly. She had told the other teachers that they were having a special guest speaker, but she hadn't revealed who it was. The secret was killing her, but it was worth it to see the look of pure joy she knew would be on Clemmy's face. "Students, please take your seats," Principal Morrison announced over the intercom. "We have a very special assembly this morning about heroes in our community. All classes should report to the gymnasium in 5 minutes." Clemmy filed into the gym with her class, settling into her usual spot in the third row. She noticed that Miss Goldenshade seemed particularly excited about something, and there were more adults in the room than usual, including some people with cameras who definitely weren't teachers. "Good morning, everyone," Azalea said, taking the microphone. "Today, we're going to talk about heroes, not the kind you see in movies or comic books, but real heroes who live in our community. Heroes who show us that being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you keep going, even when you are scared." As she spoke, Clemmy felt a strange tingling in her chest. Something about Miss Goldenshade's words seemed directed at her, like there was a message hidden in the presentation that only she was supposed to understand. Sometimes heroes are teachers who care about their students. Sometimes heroes are parents who work extra hard to take care of their families. Sometimes heroes are kids who face challenges that would scare most adults, but who wake up every day and choose to be brave anyway. Behind the gymnasium doors, Travis Kelce was taking deep breaths and trying to calm his own nerve. He had done hundreds of public appearances, but something about this one felt different. More important, more personal. "Sometimes," Azalea continued, "heroes come in unexpected packages. They might be famous football players who take time out of their busy schedules to inspire kids. Or they might be 10-year-old girls who wear colorful bandanas and show the world what real courage looks like." Clemmy's heart began to race. Was Miss Goldenshade talking about her? The description seemed awful specific, and she noticed that several students had turned to look at her. "Today, I want to introduce you to someone who exemplifies everything we've been talking about. Someone who has shown us that being a hero isn't about being perfect. It's about being human, being kind, and being willing to lift others up. Please welcome Travis Kelce from the Kansas City Chiefs." The gymnasium erupted in cheers and applause, but Clemmy couldn't hear any of it. Her world had gone completely silent as she watched her hero walk through the doors, scanning the crowd until his eyes found hers. When their gazes met, Travis smiled and pointed directly at her. "Clemmy Stormwind," he called out over the noise. "I've been looking for you." Time seemed to move in slow motion as Travis walked down the aisle toward her. The other students parted like the Red Sea, their excited chatter becoming a distant hum. All Clemmy could focus on was the fact that Travis Kelce, was walking toward her with a smile that seemed to light up the entire room. "Is it okay if I sit with you?" he asked, dropping into the empty seat beside her. Clemmy couldn't speak. She could only nod as tears began to stream down her face. The blue bandana that had made her feel so confident that morning now felt like a beacon, drawing the attention of everyone in the room. But for the first time in months, she didn't care who was looking at her. "I got your letter," Travis said softly. His voice meant only for her. "It was one of the most beautiful things I've ever read. You know why?" She shook her head, still unable to find her voice. "Because it wasn't about what you wanted from me. It was about what you wanted to give to me. You wanted to tell me that I had helped you find strength you didn't know you had. Do you know how rare that is? Most people want something from me. You just wanted to say, thank you." I can't believe you're really here," Clemmy whispered. "I can't believe it took me this long to meet you. Your dad told me that you've been going through a rough patch lately. Some kids at school said some things that made you question whether you should keep wearing your bandanas." Clemmy's cheeks burned with embarrassment. "You don't want to hear about my problem. You're Travis Kelce. You have important things to do. Clemmy, look at me." His voice was gentle but firm. "There is nothing more important than this conversation. Nothing more important than making sure you understand something." He reached over and gently touched the edge of her blue bandana. "This isn't something to hide from. This is something to celebrate. This represents every single day you chose to keep fighting. Every single day you chose to get up and try again. Every single day you chose to be kind to other people, even when you were hurting. But people stare at me. They think I'm weird. You know what I think? When I see someone wearing a bandana like yours, I think, there goes someone who has been through something really hard and came out stronger on the other side. I think, there goes a real hero." Travis stood up and addressed the entire gymnasium. "Everyone, I want you to meet my friend Clemmy. She's been teaching me about what real courage looks like. See, I might be tough on the football field, but Clemmy is tough in real life. Every single day." The applause was thundering, but Travis held up his hand for quiet. "Clemmy, I have something for you." He pulled out a small box and handed it to her. "This is a special bandana. It's made from the same material as our Chiefs jersey. But more than that, it's got something written on it that I want you to remember every time you wear it." With shaking hands, Clemmy opened the box. Inside was a beautiful red bandana with gold lettering that read, "Brave like Clemmy, 87, in Travis's jersey number. "But that's not all," Travis continued. "Clemmy, you told me in your letter that watching me play football helped you find strength during your treatment. Well, I want you to know that reading your letter helped me find strength too. You reminded me why I play this game. It's not just about winning. It's about inspiring people like you to never give up." Travis knelt down in front of her chair so they were at eye level. "Clemmy, I want to ask you something. Would you be willing to be the honorary captain for our next home game? I want you to come out onto the field with me and help us win." The gymnasium went completely silent. Even the teachers were crying now. Clemmy looked around at all the faces staring at her, and for the first time, she didn't feel afraid of the attention. She felt proud. "Really?" she whispered. "Really? But I have one condition. You have to wear one of your bandanas. I want everyone in that stadium to see what a real champion looks like." "Okay," she said, her voice growing stronger. "I'll do it." Travis smiled and opened his arm. "Can I have a hug from the bravest person I know?" Clemmy flew into his arms and the gymnasium erupted in cheers that could probably be heard 3 blocks away. Travis held her tight, and she could hear him whisper in her ear, "You are not broken, Clemmy. You are extraordinary." When they finally separated, Travis had one more surprise. "Clemmy, I know your dad has been working really hard to take care of you, and I know that medical bills can be scary. My teammates and I want to help with that. We've set up a fund through my foundation that will take care of all your future medical expenses. Your dad won't have to worry about choosing between paying rent and taking care of you ever again." Serenity, who had been watching from the back of the gymnasium, broke down completely. Azalea handed him a box of tissue as he tried to process what was happening to his family. "But why?" Clemmy asked. "Why would you do all this for me?" "Because heroes take care of other heroes," Travis replied. "And because sometimes the people who inspire us the most are the ones who don't even realize how inspiring they are." After the assembly, the small group gathered at Ravenwood Cafe for the reception Juniper had prepared. The cafe had been decorated with Chiefs colors and balloons, and there was a special table set up with all of Clemmy's favorite food. "I have something else for you," Juniper said. presenting Clemmy with a plate of cookies shaped like football. "These are for you to share with your dad, because I heard that you've been saving up your allowance to buy him treats." Clemmy looked up at her father, her eyes shining with happiness. "Daddy, we don't have to worry about money anymore. Travis fixed everything." "He sure did, sweet pea. He sure did." As the afternoon wound down, Travis sat with Clemmy one more time, just the two of them at a quiet table in the corner of the cafe. "Clemmy, I want you to promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll never stop wearing your bandanas if they make you feel strong. Promise me you'll never let anyone make you feel like you have to hide who you are. And promise me that when other kids are going through hard times, you'll remember what it felt like to have someone believe in you." "I promise." "But Travis." "Yeah? Can I promise you something too?" "Of course." "I promise that every time I watch you play football, I'll remember that heroes come in all different shapes and sizes. And I promise that someday, when I'm grown up, I'll help other kids the way you helped me." Travis felt his eyes fill with tears. "That's the best promise anyone has ever made me." As they prepared to leave, Celestine Brightwater approached Serenity with some paperwork. "These are the details for the medical fund we've set up. Everything is taken care of, Mr. Willowbrook. Clemmy's future appointments, any treatments she might need, even therapy if she wants it. You can focus on being her dad instead of worrying about money." "I don't know how to thank you," Serenity said, his voice thick with emotion. "You don't have to thank us. Just keep raising that incredible daughter of yours. She's going to change the world someday." That evening, as Clemmy got ready for bed, she carefully folded her new Chiefs bandana and placed it in her special drawer with all her others. She looked at herself in the mirror, wearing her regular purple bandana, and for the first time in months, she loved what she saw. "You know what, Mommy?" she said to the photo on her nightstand. "I think I'm going to be okay. Actually, I think I'm going to be better than okay. I think I'm going to be exactly who I'm supposed to be." Down the hall, Serenity was on the phone with his sister, telling her about the miraculous day they'd had. "I keep thinking I'm going to wake up and discover it was all a dream," he said. "But it's real. Someone saw my daughter's heart and decided to change our lives." "That's because Clemmy has always been special," his sister replied. "It just took the right person to recognize it. You know what the best part is? It's not even the money, though that's obviously life-changing. It's the way she looked at herself in the mirror tonight. For the first time since her diagnosis, she looked proud of who she is. That's worth more than anything." The next morning, Clemmy woke up early and put on her new Chiefs bandana. She looked at herself in the mirror and practiced what she was going to say to anyone who asked her about it. "This bandana was given to me by Travis Kelce because I'm brave," she rehearsed. "And being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you keep going even when you are scared." At school, she walked into the building with her head held high and her shoulders back. When Bradley Chen approached her at lunch, she was ready. "Cool bandana," he said, seeming genuinely impressed. "Is that really from Travis Kelce?" "Yes, it is. He gave it to me because he said I taught him about real courage." "That's awesome. I'm sorry about what I said before. I didn't understand." "It's okay. Not everyone understands at first, but maybe if we talk about it, you'll understand better." "I'd like that." As she sat down to eat her lunch, Clemmy realized that she wasn't sitting alone anymore. Bradley had sat down across from her, and so had two other kids from her class. "So, what's it like meeting a real NFL player?" asked Sarah Martinez. "It's amazing," Clemmy replied. "But you know what? The best part wasn't meeting someone famous. The best part was realizing that I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be." 3 months later, Clemmy stood on the sidelines at Arrowhead Stadium, wearing her Chiefs bandana and the biggest smile anyone had ever seen. As the honorary captain, she got to participate in the coin toss and run onto the field with the team. When Travis introduced her to the crowd of 76,000 people, they gave her a standing ovation that lasted 3 full minutes. She waved to the crowd, proud of her bandana, proud of her story, and proud of who she had become. "Ladies and gentlemen," the announcer said, "Clemmy Stormwind reminds us all that the greatest victories happen off the field, and the biggest heroes are often the smallest people." As the Chiefs took the field, Travis jogged over to where Clemmy was standing with her father. "How do you feel, champ?" "I feel brave," she said, without hesitation. "I feel exactly like myself." "That's the best feeling in the world," Travis replied. "Don't ever forget it." The Chiefs won that game 28-21, but the real victory had happened months earlier in a small elementary school gymnasium when a little girl learned that being different wasn't something to hide from, but something to celebrate. Years later, when Clemmy had grown up and started her own foundation to help children with cancer, she would always tell the same story to the kids she worked with. Once upon a time, there was a little girl who was afraid that being different made her broken. But then she met someone who showed her that being different actually made her extraordinary. And that little girl learned the most important lesson of all. Heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes they wear colorful bandanas and carry hearts full of courage.